You have Instagram pulled up on your end?
Should be good there. All right.
You know what I noticed is that it's already darker than last week when we started at this time. Like it's noticeably darker out, which is upsetting.
What do you mean?
Like outside, like it's noticeably darker to me. Like I'm pretty sure it was fully light out when we started last week at this time, but now it's not. It's like slightly darker because you lose what? It's a minute a day, right? Or 2 minutes a day.
No, it's we're going in the other direction until June.
It's getting no. I thought it's getting slightly darker. It's not getting lighter.
It's getting darker. It's staying lighter later. It's progressively staying lighter later until mid-June. And like June 26th is like the longest, or something like that, is the longest day of the year, and then it starts to revert the other way.
Is it? I thought it was the other way around. Friday, yeah, you're right. Friday, June 20th is the longest day of the year.
It's like noticeably lighter out right now.
I feel like it's darker at am I tripping? I feel like it was lighter last time. I thought it was the other way around. I thought when you switch the clocks, it starts out the lightest and then it like you lose a minute every day. Or is it no? All right. So I just don't know what I'm talking about. All right, that's the consensus. All right, move on. Next.
Yeah, East Coast guys, a lot of people on the West Coast. I've always wondered what it's like to live on the West Coast because I don't know, I feel like I'd rather live on the East Coast. Just because of the way the day starts. Like you get such a head start from the people on the West Coast.
I mean, I notice it when we travel because I like when you're trying to make contact with someone. I guess if you live there all the time, like it probably doesn't matter because you're just used to it. And you probably don't think like I'm going to, wait to contact someone on the East Coast or whatever it is.
Yeah. But like West Coast, it's only 4:00, I've always thought, like, I've always been jealous of West Coast people because it seems like they get more hours in the day, but they don't.
I mean, let's focus on this instead of the fact that I got it wrong about the sun going down earlier because that doesn't make any sense either.
All right, we're about to dive into some sourcing. Angel's asking, I have one of those big clunky Canon printers. Can I use that to print labels? So for printing item labels or shipping labels, item labels, you could use a Dymo printer or a Zebra printer. Same goes for shipping labels. You could use like a Rollo, a Zebra. You could use a Dymo XL, right? You could use that too. That prints 4x6.
Yeah. The 4XL, yeah. Yeah, the 4XL prints 4x6 shipping labels. But yeah, I mean, it depends on what it is. Like if you're using, if you're printing off of 8.5 by 11 paper on a regular printer for your shipping labels, there should be an option where you can print that label out where it's FBA label on one side, UPS label on the other on the same piece of paper.
Yeah. We print Dymos, or we print Dymos. We print FNSQs on the Dymo printer. And then we print shipping labels on the Rollo printer. And then we print transparency labels on the Zebra printer, but the Zebra printer can do all of them. So,
Yeah. Same thing with if you're doing FNSQs, you can do the 30 up labels. You can buy, I think they make them different brands, but Avery, I know, makes them where it's 30. I forget the exact, let me find the model. It is 1 inch by 2 5/8 inches, Avery 5160 address labels. And they come 32 a pack, and you can print FNSQs on those.
Yeah. What's going on, Tim? Good to have you back, and everybody else. Good to have you all back. So we're gonna dive into some sourcing again. I got a good feeling. I think we're gonna find a couple brands here, and we could do some sourcing, show people
Yeah.
how we find these brands, and really then what we like to do is we like to find the brand on SmartScout, which really takes a quick amount of time. Like I'm amazed when we get on these lives and the speed at which we're finding a brand. Like there's so many brands out there. And that's
Mhm.
like the biggest thing is that I think like the biggest challenge for new Amazon sellers is overcoming rejection in wholesale. And I think that when you flip the script and you flip like the power position and put yourself in the power position instead of the brand, like most Amazon sellers are approaching this as like they're down here and the brand is up here. But if you could actually like bring yourself up verbally, like in how you deliver yourself to where the brand is, you're going to have a much higher success rate in closing accounts. I mean, it's just sales 101, you know?
Yeah. I mean, SmartScout also makes it so much easier because it's just such a database of criteria. Like, it's just amazing. I still think that you can find more storefront stalking, but I think that when you break it down into like just organization, from an organization standpoint, it's like there's no substitute for that. And so like even if you're not as good at sourcing, um, I think that it makes it so much easier now. Everything is in one place. It's all organized. I've always wondered if like, anyone that watches these streams contacts the brands that we we
I
pull up.
mean, I've turned around and contacted brands like
Mm.
the next day that we found on these lives. I'm like, why not? I mean, these are real brands. It's not like we're making shit up, This is like literally how we do it. This is the process. And anybody could just watch this and take this process and replicate it over and over again. And that's really the power of wholesale.
Mm.
So dive into my screen here. If you guys have any questions as we're going, pop them into the chat. We'll answer them.
Yeah. Yeah, I know you won't be able to see the screen. Anything that comes in, I'll grab it.
All right.
Wow, look at that. Look at Apple's monthly revenue. 257 million. Is that right? Yeah. Wow. It's unbelievable. 4.7 billion in the last 12 months. Is that right? Am I reading that right?
Yeah, that's crazy. I mean, it's Apple.
Yeah, it's just incredible. I mean, just to see, like, I feel like people don't realize how big a billion is.
Yeah.
Like, it's
And just for reference, anybody joining, like all these brands you guys see right here are a no. Like,
yeah,
we do not even go anywhere near any of these brands. They're massive brands. You'll never be able to get a hold of anybody. You're never going to be able to build a relationship with them. You can buy these products from a distributor, or you can do like retail or online arbitrage, but that's not the way. Brand partnerships is the way. And this is what you're bombarded with on Amazon. So the beautiful part about SmartScout is that, we can go over here up to the filter and set our monthly revenue filter, which is, what we do. I would say, would you say probably the monthly revenue filter is like the starting point?
Mm-hmm. Yeah, because that's our best gauge as to if we're going to be able to get in contact with a brand owner or a decision maker is the monthly revenue. Like, it's not to say that a big company, we might be able to get in touch with a brand owner, but it's more likely that the small to mid-sized brands are the ones that we can get in touch with someone. So that's why that's kind of the starting point, because, if we can't get in touch with a decision maker, nothing else really matters.
Yeah. So usually we'll put this at around 20,000.
Mm-hmm.
And then this, it can vary. Like 250 quarter mil is usually what we'll do, but I mean, you could go higher. Like it really, it totally depends.
You can sort it out. It was also interesting to me that on this page that you had, I was just looking, is Skechers is doing more in monthly revenue than both Adidas and Nike.
Oh yeah.
Those shape ups are putting in work.
Yeah, I
It's
didn't see
crazy.
that. You know more about the shoes than I do, so
Yeah, it's just amazing. I guess it makes sense, but it's like a larger market. But it's just when you think of like brand equity, you think of Nike as being so much bigger than Skechers, but I guess not on Amazon.
yeah. Yeah, so really all I'm doing right now is I'm just fine tuning a couple other filters. We want to get at least 2 sellers on the listing to avoid private label products.
Mhm.
And then, we want Amazon in stock no more than 10% of the time. You can play with this, maybe go up a little bit. And yeah, there are other things here, but this is really all you need to get started. Anything else I'm missing here?
No, I don't really think so. I mean, why don't we can filter the dominant seller country? We might as well do that. We're able to filter that to US. Just
Yeah.
because we want to avoid, any other products, private label or from China or something like that. Also, yeah, I think you're good on that. Jacob in the chat here is asking or saying your free course has all the sauce needed to start up. Yeah, definitely. The goal of that video, and for those that don't know what he's talking about, we have about a 2-hour free course that is essentially designed to take you from complete beginner to expert in terms of closing brand direct exclusives. So if you have not checked that out, it is the pinned video on the YouTube channel at Operation AMZ.
We'll pop
If
it in the
you're
chat here
watching
too
on
at
another
some point.
platform. Yeah, exactly. We'll throw it into the chat as well. But yeah, it's definitely so. Like that was the whole design idea behind that, was to be able to take it from complete beginning to expert in one video. So if you haven't watched that video yet, I definitely suggest watching it all the way through.
Yeah. I'm just scrolling through here.
Yeah.
And like a couple of things that we're just like keeping our eyes keened on here are, obviously we're working still in that 200 to 300,000 revenue range monthly. And that's across the whole brand on Amazon. We're also staying keen on the brand score too. So generally we'll look to like maybe gravitate towards brands that have a lower brand score, because then we can come in and say, all right, you guys are, your brands, we're not going to tell them what their brand score is because that won't mean anything to them. But like, we can come in based off the brand score and be like, all right, their listings are not in very good shape. They, maybe they have like reviews that are right on the cusp of 4 stars. And it's, maybe it's logistically it's because of logistics, or maybe it's because of something's missing in the listing. Basically, we could just come in and start providing value right away. If we're met with resistance from them on the phone. And then we'll look at, FBA sellers, just kind of look at that. And that's pretty much like what we'll just kind of, as we're scrolling here, be looking at.
I'm interested actually if you scroll up. I don't know if that's a bigger brand, but the one right above where you are, scroll up a little bit more. That art golden artist colors, is that a large brand? I'm not really sure. I see Blick Art Materials is in the buy box, which is probably telling me that is a larger seller or a larger business. But that average FBA sellers 2.1 with 6.7 sellers. I don't know. It just looked interesting to me. Not sure why.
Yeah, Blick is a big seller in the arts and crafts space.
Right.
Yeah, might have some stuff going on here. And I don't know who posted this. I saw something about the number of Chinese products out there that have like basically been on Amazon. And not that this is something that you should filter because of this, but maybe something to keep in mind is that in the arts and crafts space, there are the most Chinese knockoffs on Amazon. Do you know that?
I mean, I could probably, I don't know, like I wouldn't say it was the most, but based on experience with products, there's been some instances in which products were knocked off immediately
Yeah.
that
No,
we
but
won't tell.
it is the most, like, out
Is
of
it?
all,
Yeah, I
like,
didn't know
yeah,
that.
because I'm pretty sure Scott Neiman
Oh,
put out a
really?
post on that from
Oh,
SmartScout data.
he would know.
Yeah, it was interesting. He put
Yeah,
out about yeah, something like, it was like
yeah,
some chart with knockoffs for highest on
mm,
arts and crafts products.
yeah. Also,
Yeah,
to follow up on the question from Jacob, he said, also, do you guys offer mentorship at all? Yes or no? Yeah, if you want to send us a message, DM us through Instagram, or get in touch with us somehow. We can definitely talk on that.
yeah, I'm not seeing. I mean, the listings don't look very good. I
Hmm.
mean, what do you think here? What's your thought process?
I
With
mean,
the
I don't love the sell price is the first thing, because at the end of the day, like, I mean, what's the volume we're looking at? 200, 300 a month.
Yeah, 12, $13 sell price. That's nothing great.
Yeah, I mean, I don't love that. And like on the basis of, you could have the most unoptimized, best company to contact. Like everything, it works in your favor. And if the product doesn't sell, then it doesn't matter. Right. So, that's something to consider.
Yeah, and it's, the products sell. They seem to have a decent amount of SKUs. But I don't know. It's not jumping out at me, and it sounds like it's not jumping out at you either.
No, I mean, is this an error in SmartScout? Because this was saying this was like a $250,000 a month, right? 238.
Um, yeah, I mean, maybe they got a bunch of products like we're not looking at yet. It looks like they do have a lot of products, so maybe cumulative, who knows? But Smart Scout is not always 100%, as we know, accurate on all this data.
Mhm.
But that's why you really have to look at the listings on Amazon, because a lot of
Yeah.
people will do their filtration just purely on Smart Scout, and like, we will never contact a brand unless we will be looking at the listings as we're reaching out to the brand.
Hmm. Yeah, you have to have eyes on, and you have to understand, like, once you understand the criteria of doing something like this, you can just adjust whatever decisions you're making within your business, as long as you actually understand like what you're forming your opinions around. So as long as you get that, you can kind of adapt to whatever your business model is. But if you don't know what you're looking for, it doesn't matter how much data you have.
Yeah. Um,
This is interesting.
Yeah, we got a low sell price but high volume.
Hmm.
4,000 units, 2,000 units. My first thing is I'm looking at this and asking, is it hazmat?
Yeah. Yeah. And
Because,
what's your thought process on that? Like, why would this look like a hazmat thing?
well, it looks like, I mean, at a glimpse, it looks like nail polish. It's obviously not nail polish, but
Hmm.
it's something. It says flammable right here. Danger. I'll tell you right now, it is hazmat, because it says danger, extremely flammable. Um, Hazmat products. I mean, we've actually learned from somebody we've hired internally that, with a lot of experience in, hazmat, it's like there are tons and tons of hazmat requirements that I just think, like, not a lot of people know about.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, not to mention, well, first of all, to back up here, like, if you don't know if a product is hazmat, the way to do that is quite literally searching, Amazon hazmat lookup on Google, clicking on the dangerous goods classification website that comes up, and then putting the ASIN in, and then it'll tell you if it's dangerous goods or not. So starting there, right? But there's all sorts of requirements with hazardous materials, and one of them is that it cannot be shipped through a partnered carrier. You have to ship it through a separate shipping, and then upload that tracking into Amazon, which is going to not let you get the discounted rate that Amazon normally gives you. So right there, it's a margin issue. Not to mention, like you were saying, there's all sorts of requirements with shipping and compliance and licensing and all these sorts of things that you have to have at the facility in order to make sure you're compliant. And if not, you can get it with a fine. So,
Pretty massive fine if we're talking DOT regulations, Department of Transportation. which is not really something you want to mess with.
Mhm.
It's really got to be worth the squeeze. Long story short, I mean, to be selling something for $9 and then having to pay more in shipping, it's like, and then deal with all this compliance. Like, even if it's selling between 5 and 7,000 units a month, like, I mean,
Yeah, 5,000 times 0 is still 0.
yeah, exactly. Yeah, so let's keep looking here.
And the lower you get to, because it's nice to start, it's nice to start on the higher end and then kind of scroll down, because you'll start to hit the first ones that look like a possible match, but they still have high enough revenue where you're like, you're excited about it. If you're starting with a 20,000, a month revenue, really not too excited about that.
Yeah. And just to give like a quick thought process is like, I looked at this, I was like, this interesting brand name. And that's a lot of things. It's like, sometimes it's the intangibles that draw attention. Like, just things where it looks like kind of an obscure product or like a niche or something. But I looked at this, I was like, all right, interesting brand name. Not so great brand score. It's selling quite well, low sellers. But I then looked at this, and then that turned me off because it's like it looks like it's a perfume type product.
Yeah,
so again, we're going to be dealing with hazmat. Let's see.
There's still some pretty large brands in here.
Yeah. I don't know. This just draw my attention because it's a really bad brand score. Just want to click on, see what it is. It's an interesting product. What is it? Some type of it looks like a hose for maybe a CPAP machine or something. It looks.
I thought it was a big slinky.
Yeah. Really no sellers here. This is actually somewhat interesting.
I mean, the first thing that catches my attention with that is the title. What's going on there?
Yeah. This is actually a good example because it originally attracted me because of the low brand score and high revenue. So that hits like it's selling well. It's selling, at a higher sell price, $41. I would consider mid to high. Nothing crazy, but mid to high. And then low brand score. So it's hitting, all right, we can provide value. We have high volume and we have high sell price. So that's interesting to me. The only thing before I clicked on it that was not attractive to me was this CPAP accessories. And that the reason for that is because it makes me think more compliance, right? Like now we're venturing into the medical area. And with Amazon, as we all know, it's, there's tons and tons of compliance with that. But because of what the product is, it looks like it's just the hose. Like nobody's putting it into their mouth or whatever. I don't know. What do you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, to really look, I like it from a product standpoint. I really like it. I did think that too with the compliance. This would be like a deep dive looking at the Amazon TOS for restricted products. And, if this is something that you're going to reach out to the brand on. But from just a listing standpoint, I mean, that's a little bit more granular and deeper. But like from a listing standpoint, yeah, I mean, it's interesting to me why there's only merchant fulfilled offers from what I can tell on this.
Let's see. Here you got an FBA here, priced higher.
Yeah,
you got another FBA here.
Not prime. Neither of them are prime.
Yeah. So this, I mean, it's selling well. It's selling really well.
How many
Um,
sales is it a month? What does it say?
it doesn't say it on Keepa, but you're looking at high four digits in health and household.
Wow. So yeah, that is probably doing. Because I was going to say again with the SmartScout filter there, I was going to say it probably wasn't moving that amount of units, but I mean, 4-digit rank in health and household, it quite literally might be.
Yeah, and what's more interesting to me is that, well, actually, something happened here. I don't know what exactly happened, but yeah, this is just piques my interest because there's some different things going on here. It's also falls into that category of like an obscure type product and brand. And like, I don't know, like I really think with wholesale, like the riches are in the niches. And I know people will argue with that statement, but I just think with this business model, like, what we're after is we're after the small to medium sized brands. And you end up finding stuff that's in the niches, like it's not the massive products that, everybody's seeing on a daily basis. It's this obscure type product that's moving at, I don't even know
Yeah.
how many units at $47 a pop, and the price is fairly consistent. So I would contact them personally, and just
Yeah.
kind of get some more
Another
information.
thing to kind of think about here is that I keep going back to this title thing, right? It says only Zaid companies is genuine. Now, I'm going to make an assumption here that someone from the brand or someone that has to do with the brand probably made that the title. Would you agree with that?
Yeah, and you're probably thinking the same thing that I am, which is they have a like a problem here because
Right.
they got unauthorized resellers. If they have knockoffs, and that has blown back at them in one way or another, which has caused them to change the title to that. You
Right.
know,
So it shows that they have taken at least, a step to try to fix this problem that they have,
but that's like the wrong, as like that's like
the
the
wrong
wrong
step.
step to take. Like it seems like there's just a missing piece for them. Like they need to be educated. And that's where we would come in and just educate them.
Right. Right.
Um, and a lot of times, like, it's like if we kind of just dig in for a moment to that outreach process and education process, like sometimes there comes a point on the phone call where, like, both of us, we will literally be like with the brand. Um, I'm like, I'm not even looking for an account. I'm not even looking to buy your product.
Mhm.
It's just approaching it from like, I'm just looking to give you this information so that you're more well educated and can make better business decisions.
Yeah. The phrasing that I always use on the phone is I'm here to educate you and allow you to make the best decision possible for your brand. And I'll say, I am confident that given the experience that we have, given the results that we have in the past, that by the end of this, you know, your decision, your best decision for the brand will align with our business model. And that's kind of the phrasing that I like to use.
Yeah, I hope you guys wrote that down.
Yeah, because I don't remember
Wrote it
exactly
down.
what it was because I probably say it a little different every single time. So,
But that's some good insight for all people. A lot of people struggle with the delivery and the wording. But
mhm.
yeah, I mean that's a good way of putting it. So this is why we do these, is to give you guys, this solid information.
Well, it kind of goes back to what you said about like conviction. Because like if that was me, I mean, you put yourself in the position of the brand, and if you've been hit nonstop with people just bugging you to buy your product, and then someone comes on the phone and says that to you, even if the guy has no idea what the hell he's talking about, right? You're still going to be like, wow, like that was the conviction, and that is pretty serious, and maybe it gets them the next step to having a conversation with you about a product.
It's shifting the conversation. It's flipping the script. Like these brands are so used to dealing with people reaching out to them on a transactional level and just wanting to buy their products and throwing money at them. And that's the difference with brand direct wholesale, in that you can't always buy your way in to work with these brands. Like, they have relationships in place already. A lot of them, if they don't have strong relationships in place, they have a past history of dealing with problems in a lot of cases. So you coming in and giving the same delivery as everybody else is not what's going to make you stand out. What's going to make you stand out is doing something like Brandon just said, which is approaching it from an educational standpoint.
Yeah, question in here. Do you guys use Helium-10?
Yes, we do use Helium-10 for keywords and different points of data for sure. So we'll use Helium-10 and to get the right keywords, for ad campaigns and listing optimization and things like that.
Yeah, there's tons of softwares out there that do that kind of thing. Not going to say one is necessarily better than the other, but
yeah, I think Helium-10 is like the king for keyword stuff. And
yeah,
like all the successful private label people are using Helium-10. So that's why I would say Helium-10 if you're doing that listing optimization keyword work.
Yep.
And here you go. How long did it take you guys to learn how to successfully run ads on Amazon?
I mean, ads are complicated. I think it's something that at the beginning you don't, you don't really have a need to learn it at the beginning, even though you're pitching it. What I can tell you is that, if you don't know how to do it, outsource it. And if you want to learn how to do it, then really study it. There's a lot of information on YouTube. But I mean, for us, we're always learning, and we've also outsourced it. So it's just one of those things that, it's one of the, I'd argue it's one of the more complicated things on Amazon, personally.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. Yeah, like you said, especially in the beginning, I think it's important to focus, like if you're doing Amazon wholesale, is to focus as much time and attention on the revenue driving tasks, which is outreach, and finding profitable brands to work with,
Yeah.
as opposed to, trying to figure out the right bids and keywords and budget and, learning Amazon ads. I'm not saying like, if you could, like, that is a skill. Like if you could learn PPC, you can probably learn Facebook ads, and you could probably learn Google ads, and you could, learn these different advertising, strategies. But if you're just, looking to do wholesale on Amazon and grow your wholesale business, like, maybe educate yourself as much as you like, but definitely make the focus the outreach, and then consider, either outsourcing the ads, as you maybe try to learn it yourself. You just want to be well educated on ads to be able to speak about it and deliver it in the conversation with the brand. You don't have to know every single nuance about running a campaign. You just need to be able to speak about the overarching concepts. And a lot of times that's, I'll tell you all the time, that's really all the brand needs. Like they're not going to ask you on specific granular questions because they don't even know anything about that in a lot of cases.
Yeah. And then I think the flip side of that, the brand owner, 1 in 100 that does ask you about things like that, if you develop a good enough relationship with them, then you'll be able to work together on it, and it'll probably strengthen the partnership. We've had that scenario as well.
Yeah. Yeah, we have. I mean, more so it's that's like a nuanced situation, I think, And Tim asked, what about Jungle Scout? Yeah, we'll use Jungle Scout for different things too. It's another good, software, but like Jungle Scout, AMZ Scout, they're, kind of one and the same, they do similar things. But as far as keywords and listing optimization goes, we're working in Helium-10 for that.
What's a good pitch / template to land brand direct deals? I'm gonna default to the course as well. In addition to that, because that'll be a good time to pop that link in there. But So in addition to what we're about to say, obviously check out the course, because we have actually a brand call in there, as well as just pitching exactly what to say to the brands. But all of our all of our accounts that we've closed, whether it's a six-figure exclusive, whether it's a transactional account that we sell a couple of units, they all start the same. And when you call a brand and they pick up, the first thing you want to do is ensure that they understand you're a legitimate player. And that comes through saying what you're looking to do, where you're from, that you stock product, you don't drop ship. We're looking to open a wholesale account. Am I speaking to the right person? Right. And that's your starting point. And then everything after that, understanding that the goal in mind is to get the price list, right? But the pitch after that is all a play off of what they have to say. So you're responding emotionally to what they have to say. And that's something that comes over time and just learning and understanding. But again, in that YouTube video, there is a script and there is an actual brand call.
Yeah, and if I could also add to that, in the beginning part, everything Brandon just said, but also it's in how you say it too. So it's important to come off, people's attention spans are short, especially when they're getting contacted from many, many Amazon sellers. So it's important to be fast. Obviously you need to be clear in what you're saying, enunciate clearly, but, just get right to the point. A lot of people will, come up with these extravagant things in the beginning, but it's like literally right to the point, but say it with confidence and conviction. Don't say it like mumble under your breath that you want to open a wholesale account or you want to sell their products on Amazon, because that's not going to get you anywhere. So leading with that and then segueing into Amazon, and we're not afraid, there's never been a brand we've contacted that we don't tell them we are selling on Amazon. But once we get to that Amazon phase, of the conversation, that's where we, if we're met with resistance, that's where we might start to, like you said, pull things in a different direction, ask those calibrated questions, unpack, understand their concerns. But, it goes back to what I said earlier, which is if you contact them and you're mumbling under your breath and asking to sell their products on Amazon, you're here and they're there. But if you now, all of a sudden, you're a legitimate company at a location, stocking product, you've moved up a little bit. And if you can, increase, get better with the tonality and the delivery, you've moved up more, sound more convicting. And then, when you transition it to Amazon, you just completely spin it in another direction for them and start asking them questions and take control of the conversation. But also putting the ball in their court. You're not dominating the conversation. You're opening the dialogue so that you can ask them questions and they can answer. And now at that point, you've met them at their level and they want to deal with somebody like that. It's a psychological thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I tend to mumble, I feel like, just in life in general. And so I'm always conscious of when I'm on the phone with a brand's not that I'm just, being like, oh, I want to sell your product on Amazon, but just sounding like you're legitimate, I think, like you said, is a big part of it.
Yeah. And that, goes I don't consider myself a natural born salesman, neither do you. So to do Amazon wholesale, you don't need to be super good at sales. You just need to do it a lot of times, and start to develop your way.
Even if you completely suck, you'll get lucky eventually. If you just keep going.
Yeah.
Even if you're absolutely terrible, you will hit the timing right. It'll be the one brand owner who just happened to, be open to it at that particular time. And you called and, that's been a reality, especially at the beginning where we did nothing right and still got the account. But that was 1 out of 150 that were contacted. So.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's a good note to leave it on, in that, you don't need to be super skilled at it. You just need to do it a bunch of times, you know, and put in the reps. And last question here before we sign off, how long it takes to propose an exclusive to the brands after you open the account? I mean, we're both going to say the same thing. That is entirely based on the brand and the dialogue that you're having with the brand. Some brands are ready to move on the first call. Most are not. Most are, you know, it's a long relationship building process.
Really, I was going to say 2 weeks and 3 days and 7 hours.
Yeah.
No, no,
Maybe
it's
if
yeah,
you're
exactly.
an outreach expert, you know.
Yeah. No, it's exactly. It's really all just got to do with I mean, quite literally, there have been accounts that take 3 years, and there's accounts that take 3 weeks, and everything in between. And that is literally not an exaggeration. That is, um,
Yeah.
and it really, the key to that is understanding, because you could make the account that's going to take 3 weeks take 3 years if you don't say the right things, right? But like knowing when to push them forward is really key, and getting them to that exclusivity as fast as you can. Sometimes that's not for a long time.
Yeah. And generally as the length of time goes up, the reward gets higher. You know, the
Mhm.
caliber, like the longer you have to build a relationship, negotiate, you know, do these different things, like chances are that account, that the wholesale account, is worth a lot more than the one that you're closing, you know, exclusive in a couple of weeks.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. So, you know, that's it. Put in the work, make the calls, source them through SmartScout, and it's a very simple but not easy process. And
You
tune
just
in
gotta
next Wednesday.
do it long enough. That's really it. That's really
Next
it.
Wednesday, 7 p.m.
See you
See you
then.
guys next time.